Okay, I'm here with Lexi from Mini Trees. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lexi,
Yeah, thanks, Marco, for having me.
for sure. So, off the bat, in the wake of what's unfolding right now in the USA, are there any organizations that you can endorse donating to right now?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot. I think some of the organizations I've been paying close attention to that are in Minneapolis are Black Visions Collective is a really important one. Um, Another one that's really cool is called Black Table Arts. They're also based in Minnesota and just create a really safe space for youth and adults from the Black community to create art and inspire each other. And um, so that's one that I've been involved in trying to raise money for. There's always large organizations, Black Lives Matter. There's some on the ground here in Los Angeles that I've been following closely. There's a lot out there, a lot of people who've just been on the ground, doing hard work for so long. And it's exciting to see some positive change and progress, but, of course, there's still more work to be done. So um, I'm hoping to just be able to continue to support and spread awareness and do whatever I can, whether that's in person or through funds or promotion or something like that, to play a small role. But there's a lot of really amazing people out there who are doing such good work.
For sure. Cool. All right. So thanks for the shout outs. I'm gonna put links to the organizations you mentioned in the description of this
Hmm.
video, so that some of your listeners can follow along with that. So
Cool.
now on to your music. Your new EP, Slip Away, is out now. What is this project about?
Yeah. This one is it deals with a lot more sort of like internal stuff. So, things related to mental health, like anxiety and depression and self-doubt and those sorts of things. And it was sort of I think, in general, I kind of tend to write things that are a bit more on the melancholy side. And that's usually because it's a way to process things for me, but also, I've always, as a listener, been drawn to music like that because it's nice to feel some sort of connection with another person, even if it's just through their art. And so I've always wanted to be able to use my music similarly. And if there's, something someone can get out of it, something that they can relate to in it, then, that's kind of ultimately why I write. And so yeah, it kind of deals with heavier topics like that. Um, and is pretty descriptive of last year for me and like the times where I was writing those songs. Um, so I know that's a little bit vague, but it kind of just explores some of those themes and tries to also end on like a somewhat like a note of resolution in a way, like some sense of what's the word, not a conclusion, but um what's the term for when you like break up with somebody and you need, oh, closure. Okay, that's it. Like some sense of closure at the end, but still sort of like asking a lot of like the last song ends like with just asking a lot of questions of myself. And so it's kind of like, it's still a path of like self-discovery and there's still more to learn and more to grow in, I guess.
So before Mini Trees, you played drums for a few different bands in the LA circuit, like Nebula Amigo and All Things Blue.
Hmm.
So reminiscing now a bit on live music, what would you say is your all-time favorite LA venue that you've played?
Oh, so hard. The two, I would say there's like two that I've loved being able to play at. One is the Bootleg Theater. Um, they're just like they've created a really really awesome community and scene for indie artists in LA, and it's just a great stage and room to play. The other one is the Hi Hat, which I am not sure what the status is on them. I know all of those like smaller independent venues have been struggling a lot, obviously. But the Hi Hat's another great room. It's a bigger room, but like just like I've been to so many great shows there. I've played some great shows there. Um, love the staff there. So those are probably my two favorites.
Okay, cool. So I mean, it sucks. There's no live music for a while now. But what are some of your favorite quarantine activities?
Um, I'm like trying to use the time to be creative and write, which I think uh, it has been happening. Um, Also though, like I've been trying to cook a lot more. I really enjoy cooking, so just like challenging myself to like learn new recipes and stuff. I mean, I have the time for it, whether that's like baking bread or whatever. Everyone's kind of doing a similar thing. Um, so yeah, I think anything to sort of just get me off of screens, which like I think there's, that's fair too. And I like have gotten into the whole like world of Animal Crossing since quarantine started, which is a fun way to just sort of like decompress and kill time. So I think just like trying to balance like, doing things that make me feel like I'm able to be creative and do something productive, but also giving myself a break when I need it and just like letting myself lounge on the couch for a while or something and binge TV. So some sort of balance of those things.
For sure. Very cool. So on the topic of things off screen, I've got a board game recommendation for you.
Really? Okay.
Okay, have you ever heard of it? It's called Photosynthesis.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is a board game where the sun revolves around the board, and you have to strategically place miniature trees that grow, and you collect points from them until you get enough and you win the game.
That sounds perfect. Photosynthesis. Okay.
I figured it'd be a good game for you to check out. Are you into board games? Can you co-sign any other board games?
I'm like not the biggest board game person. I have been doing some puzzles. I know that's totally different. I have been doing some puzzles and enjoying that. I think like, man, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. They're like board games that are highly strategic and like take a long time. I have very little patience for. But I do kind of like party games that are like, sort of simple and just like silly. So, whether that's like games like Code Names or there's a game called Exploding Kittens. It's kind of ridiculous, but oh wait, there's also one that there's like a sushi game that is really fun. Can't remember what it's called, but yeah. So I kind of if I'm gonna play a board game, it's probably gonna be like less of a strategic one.
Right on. And what about some other games like video games? I mean, you mentioned Animal Crossing, but maybe do you have an all-time favorite video game that has impacted mini trees?
um, I don't think so. I mean, I go through phases where I will play games more. Like I think growing up, I like loved The Sims and stuff. So every now and then I'll pick that up again and get like sucked into playing The Sims for like 6 hours or something. Um, and then like more rarely I'll get into something that's like a PlayStation game. Like I did play Red Dead 2 and loved it. That was amazing. But otherwise, I rarely get into a game. And part of it is I think I'm afraid to like open up that box because I know my like tendency to get like hooked on something like that. So I don't know a lot of games out there
Is that your
kind of
status right
intentionally.
now
So
with Animal Crossing?
what's that?
Is that your status right now with Animal Crossing? Are you definitely hooked? Are you been...
Kinda, yeah. Especially because you can interact with friends on it. And so but even with that game, it's you can only play it for so long, and then there's nothing to do anymore. And so it's good in that sense. Like I don't think I can get as hooked on it since there's no storyline or something like that. But I think what they're good at is that they're good at getting you coming back every day because there's like something new every day to check out. So they've figured it out. But I do like the social aspect of it, even if it's like you can't really do that much with your friends, but it's more than what we can do in real life.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you tell us about Japan?
Oh, um, so I got to go for the first time in 2018, and I haven't been back since. I'm like dying to go again. But basically, I've always wanted to visit, and part of that is because I'm half Japanese. And my grandma on my Japanese side was born in the States and grew up here, so it's fairly removed um, from like my lifestyle. Like I don't speak or read Japanese. Um, and so it's always been on my list to go, and so I finally got to go and was a really like impactful trip, really amazing, just to feel like I could understand where I came from a bit more. But also when I went, um, I think I was just like, uh, I don't know, like I just remember like journaling a lot and kind of um, drawing, was able to draw a lot of inspiration from that trip for writing my first EP. Um, and so, yeah, it's, if you ever get a chance to go, if you haven't been yet, and really to anyone else who's interested, it's just like such an amazing place to visit, and people are so kind, and the city, like Tokyo, is so cool, and um, it kind of like ruined traveling for me in a lot of ways because I just want to keep going back. Like, there's so many other amazing places in the world to see, but I just, if I have money to travel, I just want to keep going back to Japan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, what's next for Mini Trees?
Well, obviously, touring shows, all those things are on hold. Um, and so honestly, I just have been trying to write more music, and hopefully, um, the goal is to hopefully be able to write a full length record. So kind of just been working on that. There's some, things in between that, like doing some live stream shows, or trying to think through video content we can be working on for now. But for the most part, just trying to focus on writing the next thing.
Awesome. So video content, can we expect any videos on the way, maybe?
Yeah, there is one that we were able to film sort of within the like restrictions of COVID, like social distancing and stuff. So that's one that my buddy is currently editing. So hopefully we'll be able to put that out in the next couple months. And then some other kind of like, people are getting really creative. So we're going to shoot something soon that's like a live performance, but like all outside, and everybody's like really separated. And so, yeah, things like that. Whatever we can do in the meantime to create interesting content, and keep playing is what we're hoping to do. So we'll see.
Awesome. Sounds exciting. Well, that concludes
Yeah.
our interview. For all the listeners out there, definitely check out the new project Slip Away by Mini Trees, out on all streaming services now. And yeah, Lexi, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Marco. I appreciate you having me.